Hi, everybody. This is Lisa Perruccio, and today's training is on check requests. And I want to welcome Betsy and Jackie and L'Oreal and Vanny. Alyssa's on. Welcome, 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 everybody, to Lair Check Request 101. Hopefully, you can all see my screen. So if you cannot, just put it in the chat, but you should be able to see my screen. Or text my phone, Alyssa. Let's see, what do we got here? We can see your screen. Awesome. Thank you for participating in that with me. Okay, so this is Check Requests 101, Lair Check Request 101. I'm very excited to do this. And I'm going to try to touch base with doing Massachusetts and Florida, but basically it's the same procedure. Their questions might be a little bit different, and we're going to go over that. If I don't get enough of the Florida information in, maybe next time when I do it next month, I could just focus on Florida. But basically, the format is the same. The arrangement of the questions might be set up a little different, but first I want to start off, where do you put your check requests? The chat is open before I get going. Just please put in your questions and I will be gladly able to answer them for you. So the very first question is, where do you put a check request in? That's a great question. The easiest and most easiest way to do it is in your URL. You just want to type in lairrealty.com/check requests, and that'll bring you to this exact page. So I'm just going to load this up again. Another way is if you are in lairagentservices.com, if you go down to agent tools, you'll see get paid. And if you hit that, that will also, then you get check requests. And it also will open up a check request, same spot. So I just wanted to go over that of how or where. The next question I want to cover is, when should you put your check request in? This is awesome. You should put your check request in right after your loop has been approved or your app file has been approved, or if you're in Connecticut, your transaction desk has improved. Basically, what we're looking for is the compliance team talks to the accounting team to let them know you can work on these checks because we have all the paperwork, um, that the state is requiring. So when should you put your check request in? After you have your purchase and sale, after you've gone through inspections, after we've received all of the money that we're supposed to get. More than likely, once you get past inspections, it's going to close. So that's when we ask you to submit your loop for review, or in Florida, you're doing your app file review, or in Connecticut, you're doing your transaction desk uh, approval. In other words, getting to your compliance team what you need for your state. And then you're going to put in a check request at that same time. Now, most people say, well, that's crazy because it's not closing for 4 weeks. Well, Lair is a very big company, and we do have a compliance team, and we want to make sure there's no delay with getting you your money after a transaction has closed. And so the compliance team works very hard to make sure you have everything before the closing, so you're not chasing after an initial on a lead paint, or you didn't get something that the state needs. So that's why we do suggest that you put in your check request after purchase and sales and you have the escrow monies. Okay, so we're going to start. The very important section of this is to really read this. Now, a lot of people don't read this, and we get a lot of questions, and the answers are right here. The very first thing you do want to do is, because Lair is in 5 different states, So Lair is growing and we're going to continue to grow. So you want to put the state that you're listing or that the property you want to get paid in. And this is very important to choose this because according to your choices is going to, the questions are modified to the state. So like in Maine, the check request is going to be slightly different than in Florida because of the questions that is generated. So this is going to prompt the format to give you the questions just for Massachusetts. So for this training purpose, I am going to do Massachusetts. Now, I want to read this because this is very important. This is probably one of the biggest reasons or emails we get to Happy Agent, and I'm going to go over that. But all checks are emailed to the Lair agent. That means your co-broke check also. So if you're a listing agent, you're going to be mailed the co-broke's check if the check has not been distributed at the closing. So if Lair is collecting the listing agent's commission and the buyer agent's commission, you as the listing agent will get both checks. They can be printed or saved as a PDF. If you print them, the co-broke agent can come to your office and pick them up. If you save it as a PDF, you could forward it to the correct parties. So you would just let the agent know, the buyer agent, ask the buyer agent, where do you want me to send your commission check? They'll probably give you their accounting department's email address. Checks can be retrieved at myechecks.com. This is where you would get the checks, okay, using your Lair email address. Now, so in order to go to My eChecks, you have to log in using your Lair email. Your file must be approved. We just went over this by the compliance team. Now, we have a compliance team for Connecticut. We have one for Florida. We have one for Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And we have a compliance team for Maine. So the compliance team has to say approved for commission. If they're waiting for something and you put a check request in, the accounting department is not going to do anything unless they get from the compliance team that we as a brokerage have received all of the paperwork that is required by the state. And just so incidentally, Lair Realty really only really asks for what the state requires. There's only one form that's a Lair form that, or at least in Massachusetts, that's not a required form. So we don't ask for a whole lot. This is standard procedure that you should have in your loops or in your app file. To make changes, I love this one here, and I'm so great that Sergio put this in. To make changes to this request after submission. Now, we all know that some things happen at closing and you had to maybe give a little bit of your commission in, or something's going back to the seller. You don't have to do a brand new check request. All you have to do is send it to Happy Agent, send an email to Happy Agent at Lair Realty, and say, just tell them I already submitted a check request on 123 Main Street. However, things have changed. What happens is Happy Agent will send that to our accounting department and they will adjust your check request for you. So there's no need to redo a check request if there needs a correction on there. You can check the status of checks anytime. So you can check the status of your checks at www.lairrealty.com/my-checks. So you can check the status of your check request there. Now, before I actually go into filling out the check requests, I want to just pause to see if there's any questions. So I'm hoping to get all this in 1 hour, and I tend to talk fast. So if you guys have any questions at all, just put them in and we'll go from there. Okay. Now, again, this step is very important, especially in Massachusetts. Now, I know they have this set up in Florida as well. By choosing what type of check request this is, when you choose it, that is going to enable the questions. So this is very sensitive to what you check. So the questions that if you're the buyer agent are going to be different that it's going to ask you than if you're the listing agent. And then, of course, obviously, you can do both sides in the state of Mass. Okay, so now there is a scroll here because this is Massachusetts, has a lot of options here. So my listing, my buyer, my listing and buyer, you've double-ended it. Rentals, okay, different check requests when you're doing a rental. Cash advance, release of funds. This is when, unfortunately, the transaction is falling apart. You're going to answer so many less questions if you click release of funds instead of just clicking my listing. Okay, so be specific in what type of check request you are submitting, because it really does help the accounting department. Closing fund disbursement only. I believe that Connecticut does this. Connecticut, I believe you may hold escrow, but before the closing, you send everything to the attorneys, and then the attorneys pay both sides. They'll pay your commission, they'll pay the buyer agent commission. So if you need a disbursement, you would fill out this one. PBO reimbursement, this is a lot of people's do these for banks. It's a little bit of extra income that people can get, agents can get when they do a BPO for a bank. Incoming referral fee. Now, a lot of times people don't know that there is a slider here, okay? So this is a very important one because you're going to have to fill out less information if you pick the correct one. So if you're an agent and you have a referral coming in, just check the incoming referral and an expense reimbursement. Say you had an expense that you need Lair to reimburse you, you would hit that. Okay, so I'm gonna just make sure that we don't have anybody in the chat, just checking my chat. So for this training purposes, I'm just gonna go with the basic my listing. So now it's pretty much just follow the prompts, okay? Anything that has an asterisk has to be filled out. It will not be submitted without it. So we're just going to I'm going to put my name, agent's name. Okay. Now, if you are the team leader and you're filling this out for one of your team members, obviously you would put your team member in there. You have to select the office that you're on with the MLS. So wherever you're stationed on the MLS, wherever the MLS says which office you are, you're going to want to pick that office. I'm going to pick East Long Meadow. Agent's email. So I'm just going to put my email. Okay, that's very important because remember, commission checks are going to be sent to your email. Additional email notification purposes. This is if there's anybody else, a team member. Okay, so if you're the team leader and you're putting this in for your team member, maybe you want your team member to know that you submitted the check request, so you can put that in there. Okay. The date of the request is automatically filled for you. Very important, even though this is not asterisk, you really should put the closing date because that really does help accounting. So I'm just going to pick it right there. There's a calendar icon. You just click on the calendar icon. You can go forward or back. Very easy. Go back to September. I can change it. Buyer's mortgage company. Now you're the listing agent. This is not asterisk, so you don't have to put this in. But this is very important. Obviously, the property address. Now, what happens a lot is you'll start to put in your address, and if you have autofill on your computer, sometimes it will autofill your personal address where you live. So you want to be very careful that you don't hit autofill, or if it starts to auto-populate, that you just don't click on it. Because this, believe it or not, really does happen a lot on the check requests. The accounting department cannot find this property address in the MLS or anything, and it's because it auto-populated to your home address. So be very, very careful that you're putting in and put the entire street address. I'm just putting tests for training. This is so Stacy knows. Make sure you're filling in the city. I mean, this really helps because, Lair is in, 5 states, and I'm sure there's 5 different, in every state that we're in, there's a main street. So please fill this all in. Please don't skip. This really helps too, and it is a required field. MLS number. You can put non-MLS, so it does take alphabetical letters and numeric letters. So you can type in. You should really know this information, or at least have the MLS open so that you can grab this information from the MLS. Okay, because a lot of times, unfortunately, agents are going by memory and they're inputting wrong information. This takes a lot of time from the accounting department. So please just have the MLS open so that you're inputting all of the correct information, or have dot loop open because all of this information is going to be in dot loop as well. Was this home built in 1978? This is extremely important and has to be filled out, because if the state comes in, and I've had an office audited, and they came in and they just told me they wanted to see the 3 active listings, 3 under agreement listings, and 3 sold listings. And the first thing they look for is this lead paint. And so at any point, the state can come in and say, I need a list of all of your homes that were built prior to 1978. So that's why this field is here, because if the state comes in, we need to be able to generate this report for them. So we're going to put yes. So was it built prior to 78? So obviously, if it was built prior to 1978, we're going to need lead paint. Very interesting statistic. A lot of people may not know this, but if it was built in the year 1978, you do not need lead paint. Okay, are you related by blood or marriage to buyer or seller? This is extremely important as well, because we need a person of interest letter. So we're just going to put for this one, they're not related. Now, when they mean related, they mean related in any sense of the word. Okay, well, it's my cousin's boyfriend, husband's house. Well, if they're married, then he becomes a relative. Okay, so just be careful, because if you check this, it has to be stated. Even if it's in the purchase and sale, they need a person of interest form, just stating that there is a relation on this relationship attached to this listing. Do you have a green high performance features? Okay, so this is our sustainability, Craig Foley. So if it has features, so solar system, you're going to want to put yes. Okay. Any green high performance features, you're going to want to press yes or no. Obviously, we'll just keep this as no. Who is the co-broke? This is very important. So you could pick here. Now, if there is a drop down to make you here, so you can, the co-broke is, it could be I listed and sold the property, layer agent, or outside brokerage. We're going to put outside brokerage, and we're going to put in, actually, I'm going to change this to a layer agent, because then I'm going to put the layer agent's name. Okay, sale price. Obviously, again, the reason why this is required is because Stacy's going to just send this check to our agent when she writes the check. So say you're the listing agent and Peter was the buyer agent. She's just going to send the buyer agent's commission check to Peter. So you won't have to then email it to Peter. So again, this is going to save you time if you just fill these out right. So obviously, sale price. Now, this is the sale price of the property. Now, if it has less concessions, like say they're giving them, so basically it's what's your client getting? Okay, so you want to put sale price in here. You don't have to figure out your commission. A lot of people take the sale price and they take out whatever their commission is that they have signed with Lair. You don't do that. It's just the sale price of the property. We're just going to put $750,000. Okay. Seller's name. This is very important too, as well. Sometimes monies has to go back to the seller, but this is extremely important. It is required field. So I'll just put my name as the seller. Buyer's name. Who bought the property? Okay, so it is required because, again, this is required information if the state ever audited. That's why we need it. You're going to say, well, why was Lair need to know who bought the property? Because the state wants to know and be able to follow a paper trail if there's ever anything on this. So you're going to need to, I'm just going to make up a name, good old Italian name. What closing attorney or title company? Now, Florida uses the title company. So they would do coast to coast as a title company. In Massachusetts, we do attorneys who do the closing. I believe Connecticut does attorneys as well. But this is not required, but it does help us, does help Lair to just look at, where are the people going to get their mortgages and whatever. It does help us the information. We don't sell the information, so don't worry about it. It's nothing like that. Total amount Lair is holding in escrow. Okay, so we all know in Connecticut, in Massachusetts, and in Connecticut, usually with the offer, there's a binder. Okay, so that would be considered escrow money. So say we got a binder check with the offer for $100. Now, Connecticut's different because Connecticut's offer is the contract, but in Massachusetts, it's two different things. So we're going to say that we got $1,000 with the offer, and then we collected another $9,000 when we did the purchase and sale. So you're going to put the total, it says total amount Lair is holding. So we are holding 10,000. 1,000 was the earnest money deposit and 9,000 was the purchase and sale amount. But you're just going to put the total. Now in Florida, okay, I'll do it. I'm going to pause on that. So you're going to put in the total. Will Lair be receiving additional proceeds at the closing? So if $10,000 doesn't cover the commissions, your commission or the buyer broker, the total commission, you're going to put yes, obviously, that we are going to be receiving additional funds. If this covers whatever you deposited, took as a deposit covers both commissions, then you can put no. Okay. Now, if the only way that really works is if you know that the attorney is going to cut the buyer agent's commission at closing. So if there's enough in here for you, and you know that the buyer attorney is going to cut the buyer agent's check, then that's something you have to talk with your attorneys so they know who's paying the checks when. Because if there's overage, then Lair is going to have to send the extra to the attorney, and it's up to the closing attorney, who they want the check made out to. I've seen it made out to the seller. I've seen the overage made out to the buyer. I even seen the overage made out to the ILO, the attorney's account. So you're going to have to make sure that you know where the extra is going. Will Lair be receiving additional funds? So we're going to say yes on that. Amount Lair is still owed at closing. So say we are owed, I'm going to say we're owed another 5,000 at closing. Okay. Gross commission due to the Lair agent. This is your commission, it says to the Lair agent. So we're going to put, I don't know, I'm just going to put 10,000. Okay. Gross commission due to co-broke. You do not have to figure out any of when you join Lair, you fill out a independent contract and you agree to your commission. So you do not have to take any of that into consideration because all of that has been programmed into our accounting department, into our accounting software. So you don't have to remember, oh yeah, it was this off the top and then it was this and it was that. You don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is put what the gross commission due the co-broke. And so we're going to say that the co-broke's going to get 8,000. Sorry. Okay, remember, it's gross commission. Gross commission to me before the split, which is kind of, this is a little bit redundant here because it would probably be the same here, gross commission to me before the split. So I would put in the 10,000 again. So, because that's what I'm getting to layer agent, okay? Referral fee to be paid. So there's a drop down here. So yes, if there's a referral fee, so gross dollar amount of referrals. So I'm giving out, I don't know, let's say a 1%. We'll just say we're giving $2,000 as a referral. Obviously, if there's no referral, this is you worked hard, this was your client, no one referred to you, you're obviously going to say no, which then gets rid of the question about how much is it? And that's what I like about how Sergio set this up is depending on how you answer, it's going to eliminate questions or it's going to add questions. So it just streamlined it so you're not having to fill out things or read things that you don't have to read. Funds due to seller by layer. Now, again, this is between you and the attorneys if for some reason there's funds due to the seller, okay? Maybe there was extra or whatever overage. Maybe we're holding an overage amount. But again, don't assume that goes to the seller. Call the attorney or the title company that's actually doing the closing and ask them and say, we have an overage. Who would you like the check made out to? Again, some of them do it to their well, how do you say that? There's a account for attorneys. I can't remember. IOLA account, something like that. Anyways, it could be the seller. They may say, yes, have the extra funds made out to Lisa Perruccio, because up here I was the seller. But they may make it out to the buyer. So again, you're going to need to know the funds and who to make it payable to. Okay, so I'm just not going to fill that in. It's pretty self-explanatory. Is there a layer cash advance outstanding on this transaction? Now, Stacy is so gracious to our agents that she knows that sometimes being real estate and commission-based income can be tight. And so she does allow cash advances. If you have a cash advance on anything, if you have an outstanding cash advance, obviously you're going to pick yes or no. For this training purposes, I'm just going to put no, because obviously if it was yes, she's going to take what your advance was. So we'll just put no for now. Charitable donation amount it's defaulted at $5. This goes to our local communities, and Stacy does an outstanding job with giving back to our communities. And so if you don't want that, there is a drop down. You can put $0. Or if you want to be really generous, you could put $50. But that's totally up to you. This is an interactive field, so it is defaulted to $5. If you don't want that taken out, just use the arrow and just put in 0. So that's fine. Additional notes about the check request. I'm going to stop here because this is really vital. Okay. This section has been put in here because we all know that sometimes things get a little cockeyed and you need to tell accounting what's really going on. So you could say things like, let's see, maybe it went down, was listed at one price, or actually you forgot that to do a referral fee or something like that. But this here is really to give the accounting department a little bit more information about what is really going on this transaction and who is supposed to get what. Okay, so let's just say that the purchase and sale says that the listing amount or the sale price was $685, but at the very end maybe they had to close it or there was a price decrease because of inspections or whatever. That's what you would say, that purchase and sales that we sold the property for such amount, but there is a fully executed addendum saying that we're reducing the amount by 3,000. Okay. So this section, a lot of people do not use, and we put this in here for you to explain to the accounting department anything that you think they really need to know of what is going on. Okay, so I like to pause there only because this is a very useful section. Would you like us to create a just sold social media piece? This is great, just basic standard, yes, no, it's defaulted to no. Uh, I love this and I want to stop here. So in the chat, you will see in the chat, we did put a link to see how really nice this looks. So check out the chat in this training. You're going to see how really nice these look. Would you like to order a custom closing gift of $40? I have never seen a beautiful closing gift that was under $50. So this is really great. It's in the frame of a house and it has, they're using maps and it has a little heart on there and it says, congratulations, happy closing. And just remember, every time they see this, they're going to remember you're the agent. You're the agent that sold them the house. And even if they didn't, I'm sure on the back of this, it says your name. So they will always have a reminder that you sold the house. So in 5 to 7 years, which is the average norm of when people sell the house, they sell every 5 to 7 years. So I got a question here. Closing gift, great. Farah put the closing gift on there. So awesome. Thank you, Farah, for doing that. I appreciate it. And then where did this client come from? Now, this is also very important for you because you want to keep track of, are you getting most of your listings from your sphere of influence? Which, Farah, I think we need to do a training on how important the sphere of influence is, how to manage your sphere of influence, which my agents in my office in East Long Meadow are very good at this. So we have another question. It's coming in October. All right. It's called Super Sphere. Amen. That's great. So I definitely would, I help my agents quite often on their sphere of influence. And so this is, you want to be able to know where it's coming from. If you're paying for Zillow leads, you should know, you want to see if you're getting the bang for your buck. Are you getting leads from Zillow? So you want to office floor call. Believe it or not, we do still get floor calls. Okay. We go by a list. So your website, maybe it was OpCity. OpCity is important because obviously there is a referral fee for OpCity, but definitely don't skip this. It's not required, but you're going to want to know, this is a great way of knowing, how you're getting your business. So I would definitely not skip this. Got answers. Can I email you a link of the images? Oh, closing gift. Okay, so that's Farah's helping me answer your questions. Thank you, Farah. Fill out this part if you would like Lear to send a request for a testimonial from your clients. So you're going to fill this out. You may want to let your clients know that they're going to be getting an email. I believe it's from Happy Agent asking for them to give a testimony. So a lot of times what happens is they don't know, they think the testimony is going to come from you. And so they're leery about filling out stuff. So you may want to ask your client, do you mind if I send you a testimonial, for you to fill out a testimony about my work? And also, it's a great way to stay in touch before the closing. You want to reach out to these people so that when they go to sell their house in 5 to 7 years, they're going to remember, oh, she was a great, or he was the best agent. I love them and I want to work with them again. So now here's the most important thing right here. You have to make sure you submit this, okay? You could save it and fill it out later, but just make sure you submit this. There may be a up to 3 business day turnaround. We want it to be 3 business day turnaround, but it really depends on you. Getting your paperwork approved is probably the biggest deterrent. of why you're not getting paid. And agents forget to put check requests in. So you have to put check requests in. You're going to submit. And so there it is right there. It's saying thank you. Make sure you're getting the thank you. Your check request has been received and a PDF copy of your request is below. What I would do is click on the PDF and I would put this in your loop, download it and put it into your loop or into app files. However you want to keep a hold of this, I would definitely put it in either your app file folder, put it in transaction desk, or put it in dot loop. So you're going to want to keep it in case there's any question about it. You have a copy. Here it is right here. So now I'm going to just pause here in case anybody has any questions, because I'm going to switch now to Florida. So I'm going to switch to Florida right now. Connecticut, I know Connecticut, Betsy's on the call. Betsy, if you have any questions, please let me know. Any of my admins, if you have any questions whatsoever, you can also let me know. Let's see. I don't know who Elite is. Oh, I think that's Farah. Okay, so again, I'm going to switch now to Florida. So let me go. So we're going to go again to check requests. I'm just going to again, remember the easiest place to go is lairrealty.com/check request. I'm just going to hit this so that it reloads. And now we're going to go over Florida a little bit. Okay, again, it's pretty much this. My nose itches. What does that mean? Somebody's talking about you? Anyways, pretty much it's the same thing. But the setup might be a little different. Again, you are going to check Florida and then all of this again. I think the biggest thing that I can train my admins who are on this call, Vanny, is make sure they're reading the important notes to agents, because this is going to answer a lot of their questions. Do I have to resubmit it if it changes? No, you don't. You don't have to resubmit it. Again, just send it to Happy Agent. This is where you can check the status of your checks. I mean, this is really good. This is where you get your checks. And also, you're going to be emailed the buyers. All checks are emailed to the listing agent. A lot of people don't understand that they are responsible of getting that check to the buyer agent, unless at the closing, the funds were just the attorney or the closing title company dispersed the buyer agent's commission. Again, it's the same thing here as in the Massachusetts one. You are going to pick what type of check request. You don't have as many as Massachusetts does, but there's the commission request. That is your check request. Okay, they called it a commission request. Escrow disbursement. Now, I believe that most of the Florida agents, and Vanny, you can put in the chat if you want to, but I believe, because I did talk to Donna Guerin, and she said most of the time the Florida agents will collect an escrow and then do a escrow disbursement to the closing title company. And so I'm told that that is the way that you guys do it. And then you also have the choice of having a cash advance. So let's just do commission request, which is a check request for your commission. Obviously, again, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to put your name, your last name, your email, additional email for notifications. Again, if you're a team leader and you want your team members to know that you have put the check request in, they could get a copy of this check request. That is totally up to you. Property address. Again, be very careful. See how this automatically populates? Please make sure that you are checking to make sure that the address is the property address, not your personal address, not your company address, where your office is. Because again, it happens quite a lot. And the accounting team is looking for an address that's your personal, where you live. So just be extremely careful under property that it's not autofilling, okay? Which layer, Bowen office, okay, they're all listed here. Obviously, you're going to pick it, which one you belong to, the closing date, sale price, rent, if it's a rental amount, if any, layer is holding in escrow. So if you're doing a commission and you have already done that check where it says, this one up here, where it says escrow disbursement, we are no longer holding it because you did an escrow disbursement. So where it says if any layer is holding an escrow, you're going to put 0 if you've already done an escrow disbursement. Okay. If not, and you're going to hold it, the layer is going to hold it and pay you from our escrow, then obviously you would put that in. Type of transaction, my listing, my buyer, buyer rental, referral, lease, renewal, or PBO. Same thing, you're just going to pick one. Is this a CTC closing referral by you? Is this a CTC closing referral by you? Okay, so you're just going to pick yes or no on there. So I think they're saying here, did CTC refer this client to you? I believe that that's what that answer is. Who was the mortgage company? You're going to want to fill this out. Who was the title company, the buyer's name, the seller's name, gross commission, check amount, layer will receive. Now, if you've done the escrow disbursement, this is where you're going to put what the attorney will be sending you, which is your gross commission. How will the gross commission funds be received by layer? Okay, if we're holding it in escrow, then that's what you're going to pick. If a check is going to be mailed to the office or be dropped off or waiting for funds. So holding escrow, waiting for funds. This is, say we are holding the funds, 5,000, but you're due 7,000 and the closing title company has to send layer 2,000. That's what you would pick. We're waiting for funds. We have some of the funds in escrow and we're waiting for the rest of our funds. So that's what you would put here. Also, Donna told me under gross commission, what you really want to do is put your gross commission of 7,000 plus the transaction fee. So I know Florida gets a transaction fee, but let's say that your commission is 7,000. Then you're going to write plus $495 you're going to get for a closing fee. So this is how they want you to write it in the check request. This is what you're getting. That's your commission, plus you're also obtaining from the sellers or from the title company the $495 closing fee or transaction fee. Sorry, it's a transaction fee. Sorry. This is how it should be put out. Okay, you should put that both. Okay, so then how well we went over that. Besides your commission, list any additional checks that needed to be dispersed from these funds. Again, this is where you need to talk to Coast Closings or the title company in Florida if there's any overage, who's getting it. So you need to do your due diligence, follow up with who's doing the closing to see, any extra, if we have extra funds, who's it made out to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Please consider participating in our Layer Gives Back program. Layer will match up to $10 per closing on your charitable donation. So here's the donation. They have Forgotten Soldiers program, Habitat for Humanity, or Feeding the Hungry, and you can change the amount again. Donation is a default to $5. She's asking if you would consider 10, but it is default to 5, but you can even change it to 0 if you don't want any of those. If you have your own that you give to, and that's not one of the ones you give to. I give to the Springfield Rescue Mission, so I like to give to the donating companies that I am associated with. Would you like Layer to reach out to your client for a testimony? Same as Massachusetts, yes or no? Would you like us to create just social media? I would definitely do this. I don't know why most agents wouldn't do that. It's literally a click once they make it. And now with Zara, it's going to be so easy. And you want your page to show you're not only listing properties, but you're selling them. You're not just a halfway agent, you're a full agent. You are listing these properties and you are selling them. So I don't understand why. To me, this is kind of a no-brainer, but that's up to you. Would you like to order? Here's that custom gift again. Again, here's where is the client coming from. And again, the additional notes, very important. If there's something you need to explain, maybe the purchase and sale has two sellers on it, and then they took one off. I mean, the buyer. So when they put in the contract to purchase, there was two buyers, but the bank needed to take a buyer off. You can put that in here because if a check needs to go to the buyer, if any monies needs to be refunded, it has to be in only the person that we have the paperwork for, the correct people. And then, of course, submit or save. Of course, you can save it if your kids come in or the dog comes in and needs to go out. You can save your work, come back to it, or you can submit it if you finished it. So pretty much that covers that. I'm going to pause right now to see if anybody has any questions regarding Florida. So if you have any questions, I have the chat open. Let me know. I know I do talk fast. It is being recorded. These are being recorded. I just try to get all the information to you within an hour. So if you go to, I think it's the YouTube, or if you go to Layer Agent Services under Library, you can find it there. Layer has a YouTube. You can find it there. So they are being recorded. So if I did talk too fast, or if it's, you've taken this and then it's been a while since you put in a check request, please redo it. If you have any questions while you're filling it out, I would just save what you filled out so far and send an email to happyagent@learealty.com. And we have somebody in that email system all the time. There's always somebody watching those emails that come in from our agents. A lot of times it's Stacy herself. So if it has any questions like that, she will answer them for you. Okay, great. Thank you, Vanny. Vanny saying that I did a good job. Thank you. Thank you, Vanny, for the encouragement. I love Vanny. She's a great encourager. She is awesome. You Florida agents are very lucky to have Vanny as one of your admins. All of our admin staff is really great. So again, I'm going to end it if nobody has any questions. We have 10 minutes, but pretty much oh, thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay's been taking all of our training, and I love having Lindsay on the training. Lindsay, you're great. Lindsay even took the dot loop training. Dot loop is available Dot is available for Florida and Connecticut. I know you guys are used to your own thing, but if you want to try a new system, it is available. You don't have to stick with the system if you don't like it, but it's great to try it if you want to. So, Lindsay, we need you to recruit more Layer agents in Florida to take our trainings because you're so diligent at learning. And I know that in the future, we're going to see you on the top 5 and even the #1 listing or selling agent because you took the time to take the training that is being offered. So really appreciate it. Thank you all very much. And let's see, I am doing one more training in September. I am doing a training on deposit link. Now, everybody has deposit link. Florida has deposit link. And actually, Florida is starting to use deposit link. I am doing a training. If you just wait 1 second, I'll just turn my head to find out on my calendar when it is. September 25th, I'm doing deposit link training, which is like a commercial Venmo account where monies come right into our escrow accounts. And we have, so it's available for Connecticut escrow, it's available for Massachusetts escrow, Maine escrow, Florida escrow, New Hampshire escrow. So again, great. That'll be a great class. So until September 25th, this is Lisa Perruccio, and I just want to thank you for joining me. And I hope to see you on the 25th for deposit link training. Bye, everybody. Bye bye.